move on to the next group, which is the ECR group, and the speaker will be yours truly. So I will take a step back from my role as chair, but I will not refrain from using the gavel if I get overtime.
Not with me.
No. So, thank you so much, Mr. Panetta, for being here. It's always a pleasure to talk to you about this very important subject. We had a debate in the European Parliament last week with Commissioner McGuinness, and she said, and I fully agreed with her, the talk of the discussion on the digital euro is too much in the corridors and not too much out in the open. So I thank you again for being here. I have three very short questions. The first is on the limit of the 3,000 euro on the digital euro accounts that is in the current proposal. I read some assessments from the banking sector that, well, as soon as a digital euro would be launched, many people would take their 3,000 euros from their commercial account and put it in their CBDC account, because obviously storing it directly at the central bank would be more safe. Would you consider this also a risk to the banking sector concerning a mini bank run or a bank run and a systemic risk to the sector itself? So that's the first question. The second question is concerning what is called mission creep, which is something that expands in its mission beyond the original goals that were set. You spoke about programmability, about programming money to a certain goal, which is something you don't want to see happen. But we have seen in the past with the European institutions is that over time, rules and regulations seem to overstretch their mandate or even change their mandate. What would you, I mean, I trust you on your word, and I also trust Commissioner McGuinness, but a crisis or a potential future crisis or a potential situation could change the situation. So what would be your take on the danger of mission creep with the digital euro? And my last question is, what is your internal criteria? You said you are in the experimental phase. What is your internal criteria on actually stopping with the digital euro? What would need to happen for you to decide to stop the project? Thank you so much. And I have been over time. Apologies.
Thank you very much. Of course, we will learn by doing what is the right level of the limit, of the ceiling. But we have done empirical analysis to calculate what would be the impact on the financial sector and of use up to the ceiling by each and every citizen in the euro area. And the result is that the overall take-up would be around 1.5 trillion euros. This would not affect the functioning of monetary policy, and the impact on the banks would depend on where the funding for the digital euro would come. If each and every user transforms cash into digital euro, nothing would happen. The banks would be in the same situation they are today. If instead some money is taken by bank deposits, where today the banks are in excess liquidity because of monetary policy reasons, this might not be, and today would be there would be no difference, but this may change in the future. But of course, there is one institution, which is the central bank, that can regulate the liquidity in the system to compensate any outflow of liquidity from the banks into central bank liabilities. Our impression is that there would be no big deal. By the way, let me mention that you have asked two experts to do analysis on the digital euro. One argues that 3,000 euros is too much. One argues in favor of 100,000 euros limit. So this is an empirical issue. Our proposal would be to progress with prudence and see what is the impact of the introduction. But if the central bank intervenes and compensates for the outflow of liquidity, nothing would happen. No bank run, certainly no bank run. And especially by definition, if it is a shift from cash to digital euro. Mission creep. Well, first, no, we usually respect the rules. especially if those rules are called legislation. Second, also operationally, it would be, the complexity of programming the payments of individual citizens in each and every possible use they could do is, I thank you very much for the consideration you have for our operational capacity, but you are overestimating our capacity. And finally, we have proposed there will be no repository in which all the information on digital euro users would be stored. It would be literally impossible. So if all the information on who is behind account X were available, somebody with much better capacity, I don't know who, maybe could try and do something like that, but we are proposing that we have no access. So that would be literally impossible. That would be impossible. Not that we don't want to do it. It's also true that we don't want to do it, but it would be impossible on top of that. So we don't want to do it, and if we were crazy enough to to venture into this project, it would be impossible. I think that's enough. And then on top of that, we also respect the rules, which is always useful.
Okay, thank you. I will use my follow-up question. I will use it as a follow-up.
Sorry.
The last question.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. When to stop? No, we are not working 2 interviews. We want to get ready. And I guess if the Governing Council will accept my proposal, we should stop when we are ready. And then there should be a decision which is not a technocratic decision by the ECB only. It's a highly political project. There should be a political decision to issue. And then the central bank should be ready to respond if that call is done at the political level, which means that there will be a move by the co-legislators. I cannot see any chance of the ECB deciding autonomously, independently to progress. But also at the same time, my advice, and then I will tell you in October what the Governing Council will respond, would be that we should be ready, because there are many instances, and maybe we should talk about also the big techs, the potential risks for the integrity of the payment system in the euro area. There are many instances in which issuance of digital euro could become necessary. If that situation emerges, we want to be ready to respond to any request to introduce a digital currency.
Thank you so much.